You are standing in a room full of people, and no one knows you are drowning. Not because they are cruel, not because they do not care, but because you have learned to drown quietly. You nod when they ask how you are. You say fine. You say busy. You say the weather is nice. And then you go home, and the silence in your apartment is so loud, it feels like a physical presence pressing against your chest. You do not tell anyone anything. Not the grief that sits in your throat like a stone. Not the anger that you swallow every morning with your coffee. Not the loneliness that has become so familiar it feels like a second skin. You carry it all, alone. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that speaking is not relief. It is risk. This is not about being introverted. This is not about needing alone time to recharge. This is about emotional lockdown, a kind of self-imposed exile where vulnerability feels more dangerous than isolation. You have built a fortress around yourself, and the walls are so high now that even you cannot see over them anymore. You scroll through your phone. You see people posting their feelings, their therapy breakthroughs, their raw moments, and you feel nothing but a quiet, bitter envy, because you cannot imagine doing that. You cannot imagine letting anyone that close. The idea of being known, truly known, feels like being flayed alive. So you stay silent. You perform normalcy. You go to work. You respond to texts with emojis. You laugh at the right moments. And inside, you are carrying so much weight that sometimes you forget what it feels like to stand up straight. This is the experience of emotional self-sufficiency pushed to its breaking point, and it is far more common than anyone admits. In developmental psychology, there is a concept called disorganized attachment. It occurs when a child learns that their caregiver is both the source of comfort and the source of fear. The child wants to run toward them and run away from them at the same time. So they freeze. They learn to need nothing. They learn that safety is found in silence. You may have grown up in a house where emotions were punished, where crying was weakness, where asking for help was met with irritation or dismissal. Or maybe your pain was simply ignored, not because anyone wanted to hurt you, but because they were drowning too. And you learned, very early, that no one was coming, that if you wanted to survive, you had to do it alone. So you did. And now, decades later, you are still doing it. Even though the danger is gone, even though there are people in your life who would listen, you cannot speak, because the neural pathways in your brain have been carved deep by years of practice. Silence is not a choice anymore. It is a reflex. Neuroscience shows us that chronic emotional suppression alters the brain. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for regulating emotion, becomes hyperactive. You are constantly managing, controlling, suppressing. Meanwhile, the amygdala, your brain's fear center, becomes hypersensitive. Every potential moment of vulnerability feels like a threat. Your body is on high alert, even when you are sitting in your living room alone. You are not choosing silence. You are trapped in it. Here is what no one tells you about emotional silence. It does not make you stronger. It makes you smaller. Every time you swallow your pain, you lose a piece of yourself. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, like a photograph left in the sun, the colors fading until one day you look at it and realize you cannot remember what it used to look like. You stop recognizing your own feelings. You stop trusting them. Because if you never speak them, if you never test them against another person's reality, they begin to feel unreal. You start to wonder if you are overreacting, if you are making it up, if maybe everyone feels this way and you are just weak for not being able to handle it. So you suppress more. You work harder. You stay busy. You fill every moment with noise so you do not have to hear the screaming inside your own head. But the body keeps the score. This is not a metaphor. This is biology. Chronic emotional suppression is linked to higher rates of cardiovascular disease, autoimmune disorders, chronic pain, and early mortality. Your body is trying to tell you something. It is trying to scream what your mouth will not say. And when you ignore it, the message gets louder. Migraines, insomnia, digestive issues, panic attacks that come out of nowhere because your nervous system is so overloaded, it cannot hold it anymore. You are not fine. You have never been fine. But you have become so good at pretending that even you believe the lie. There is a phenomenon in psychology called alexithymia. It is the inability to identify and describe your own emotions. It is common in people who have spent years suppressing their feelings. You do not lack emotions. You lack access to them. They are there, buried deep, but the bridge between your body and your mind has been burned. So when someone asks how you are, you genuinely do not know. You scan your body for clues. You say the words you think you are supposed to say, but you feel disconnected, like you are watching yourself from a distance, like you are a character in your own life, playing the role of someone who is okay. And the loneliness is crushing, because here is the cruelest part. The silence does not protect you. It isolates you. You think you are sparing others from your pain, but what you are actually doing is denying them the chance to know you. You are giving them a performance, a curated version of yourself, and they love that version. They care about that version, but they do not know you, and you are so tired of not being known. You see people in relationships, friendships, romantic partnerships, and you feel like you are watching from behind glass. They share their bad days. They cry in front of each other. They ask for help, and it looks so easy. But when you try, the words stick in your throat. You feel pathetic. You feel like a burden, so you laugh it off. You change the subject. You go home alone, and the silence grows heavier. We are told that silence is strength, that self-reliance is maturity, that needing people is weakness. This is a lie. It is a culturally constructed lie designed to keep you productive, compliant, and isolated. Because people who ask for help disrupt systems. People who admit they are struggling require resources. People who are emotionally honest demand that others meet them with honesty in return. So we are taught to admire the stoic, the martyr, the person who never complains, never cries, never asks for anything. We call them strong. We call them independent. We say they have it together. But what we are really praising is their ability to suffer quietly. You have been conditioned to see your silence as a virtue. You have been told that you are low maintenance, easy, that you do not create drama, and you have internalized this as proof that you are better than people who need things, people who express their pain, people who take up space. But the truth is, you are not stronger than them. You are more afraid. You are afraid that if you speak, you will be too much, that your pain will be inconvenient, that people will tolerate you out of obligation but secretly resent you. So you stay small. You stay quiet. You convince yourself that this is dignity. But dignity is not the same as disappearing. There is a concept in trauma psychology called fawning. It is the fourth trauma response, alongside fight, flight, and freeze. Fawning is when you make yourself as inoffensive, as easy, as helpful as possible in order to avoid conflict or abandonment. You prioritize other people's comfort over your own needs. You become a ghost in your own life. And you do not even realize you are doing it, because it has been your survival strategy for so long that it feels like your personality. You think you are just a private person, just independent, just someone who does not need much. But the reality is, you need the same things everyone else needs: connection, validation, witness. You have just learned to live without them, and it is killing you. Not quickly, not obviously, but the slow erosion of a self that is never seen, never heard, never held. You are becoming a stranger to yourself. And the saddest part is, you think this is what you deserve. It is not. You deserve to be known. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to say the true thing, the hard thing, the thing that makes you feel vulnerable and scared and alive. You deserve to be met with care instead of judgment. And if the people in your life cannot do that, then they are not your people. But you have to speak first. You have to risk it. You have to let the words out, even if your voice shakes, even if you cry, even if it feels like you are tearing yourself open. Because the alternative is this: a life spent behind glass, watching everyone else live while you perform the role of someone who is fine. And you are not fine. You have never been fine. And that is okay. If you are reading this, you probably know what it feels like to carry everything alone. And I want you to know, you are not broken. You are not weak. You are not too much or too little. You are just afraid. And fear is not a life sentence. It is a response, a learned one, which means it can be unlearned. You do not have to do it all at once. You do not have to tell everyone everything. But maybe you can start small. Maybe you can tell one person one true thing. Maybe you can let yourself be seen, just a little, just enough to remember what it feels like to not be alone, because you are not alone. Even if it feels that way, even if you have been silent for so long that your voice feels unfamiliar, you still have one, and it still matters.